Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciated. Please share it with your friends and family. Muchly appreciate that. And if you come across the channel, please do not leave without hitting the subscribe and the likes. Helps the channel grow, and we've built a formidable channel here, and we have based our channel on integrity, meaning we don't fly off of rumorvilles. We get we see some podcast channels that, oh, we're here every day with a bunch of garbage and gossip. I won't go down that road. Sorry. Gossipville doesn't work for me. I rather factual information. We know there's many rumors that fly this time of year. So first, a little quick ad. Or contracting here in HRM, Nova Scotia, please contact them. They offer many services: landscaping, rebuilds, decks, masonry work, you name it, home renovations. And this is the time of year where if you're looking at getting projects done for a reasonable price and high quality, I recommend them. Just let them know that when you contact them and their ad is on the cover page, you can contact the owner, Glenn Thomas. Great guy, honest owner. You will get nothing but quality here. So just use user code Andrew. Mention that. All right. So we're going to start off, and this is the pre-draft talk. And I thought, day before the draft, excitement is here. Kind of one of those situations where I know we're all pumped. We're all sitting here. The excitement and the wonder of what is going to transpire on the Habs' behalf. And we've heard, so, like I said, so many rumors. And like I say, I'd rather be a channel that comes out with factual information when it goes down than to just throw you a bunch of hogwash daily on rumor land and act like I'm a know-it-all. Now, I'm not going to go down that road because I believe in having integrity, and that's very important to me. Great to talk about certain things, but when you're promoting gossip, it's just not my cup of tea. All right, so let's talk about it. Now, the draft is tomorrow. Can you believe it? A sleep away. And yeah, I'm quite excited with seeing what we've done so far. But it is essential. It really is essential for the Habs. And for me, I don't want to see excuses. I know there's rumors that everybody's looking for a second line center. Sorry to say, I can't let up on what I believe the Habs need to do because we're at certain stages. And when you got a high quality player like Demidov in your system now, you need to give him the quality to a system. And I don't care how you do it. Yes, you can't lose track of your overall plan. I get that totally, and I totally agree with Hughes and Gordon, but I don't look for excuses either. This is the time. They need a second line center, and they need to make it happen. And they need to not get sidetracked from their mission. We're in a good position just because other teams are willing to trade off their drafts and make similar offers. I think the Montreal's really got quite a stack of drafts that they can throw into this. They have plenty of potential for ongoing rookies. For quality, the depth in our up and coming players that we are going to need to move on anyway. And there are other teams that could use that talent. There is some very talented players in Laval, but Montreal will never see them. And the fact being, because we're already a small team, and I know that some people will say we've gotten bigger. Yes, but our back end is small compared to what you need in the playoff, and we still do need to size up in the front end. What I'm saying is, I agree. There's been some critics who made comments, analysts, high quality, that have said Montreal should not have any more than two small players, and I'm totally on that board. None of this three and above. I don't buy that. I think we've made some mistakes in some of the prior draft day trades or whatever you want to look at, like the Doc, New Hook. I think those were mistakes. I don't care how you chalk it up. Yes, New Hook's fast, and he did play better in the playoffs than we suspected. He is still a third line player, and he's still, just because he's 6 foot in the NHL, that's not big. Okay. Sorry to say that. And yes, I loved his effort in the playoffs. I give him credit, but he's no more than a third. And we gave up way too much for him. We gave up way too much for Kirby Doc, who showed some serious potential when he started playing for us. But once the injuries nailed him, and I don't know if we'll ever. I just don't have the confidence in those two players anymore. Even a third player, Lonnie, I'm sorry, great guy, but I don't think for him, I don't think his love of the game is there. So for me, these are three bodies you can move. I honestly think Montreal has to sit there and be realistic in the future. There really should only be Lane Hudson and Cole Caulfield, who are the smaller guys on the team. No more. No more. Everybody should be well above 6 foot. And I mean, for me, 6'1" is for me, would be like, this is with guys coming in from this point on, 6'1" and up. And really, I prefer up because we need size that's in the size range. We need to get big. Okay. And our back end is something that we know will have to enlarge in size wise. We have as far as the physicality end of it, we only have two of them, and that's Gooley and Jackeye, who kind of fit the role as we speak. And I'm not talking about Mayu and Reinbacker. I'm hoping that those two can make it because they got the size. I'm talking about who we actually like. For me, Matheson, and I love that Carrier was brought in, but you've seen where the problem became in that instance where he's on the small side. This can only be for a couple years. Point those two. Um, you're going to have to get bigger with some of whatever you're bringing in. I do think it would be nice to have a veteran brought in to replace David Savard. I think that would be a great move. However, not at the cost, because we don't know whether Mayu or Reinbecker where they will sit in preseason and training camp. I think Mayu might be ahead of the game. However, there's still knocks against defensive play. We'll see. We need to see more. I still think I wouldn't give up on him. I don't like him being included in the trade packages. I think him and Reinback are exactly what we need to add in the future and will be a big part of this, I believe. And I'm not even ruling out Enstrom because he has really shown some serious potential in Laval's playoff run. Actually, probably for me, the MVP of the team in that playoff run. So let's talk about it now. We've heard, like I say, we want to get down. Unfortunately, now we're at the point where we've heard the names and we know who's on. I'm kind of sticking to the draft list because I don't know if Montreal's going to be able to. Um, what's going to happen? I'm going on the potential that that we may not get an established player. We got to move out the Farrells, the Harvey Pinards, and they can be good additions for other teams. I'm not even sure on other players in the group in Laval because we have so many smaller players. And it's unfortunate because there's talent there. There's definitely talent there that I do think, like Farrell, may be able to play in the NHL. Beck, I'm kind of on the, I look at Beck as he could be that Evans replacement down the road. Problem is, Evans is still here. So I don't mind seeing Beck do another year in Laval. Um, but he's one of the very few that I would hang on to, that are in the lower end of the scale size wise. But I'm still on the fence in that scenario. So there are a lot of anybody who's on the small side forward group. We need to start packaging them up and start shipping them out and getting some size in this organization, because we got tons of depth, and that's great. But if you got depth and guys that are never going to be on your squad, there is no point hanging on to them. We need to size up so we can match other NHL clubs size wise, and being a little and having a nastier edge to us. Skill and toughness, we need it drastically. So we have three guys that also, like I said, we know show great promise with Jack Guy's brother, um, Tuck, and Thorpe. That to me looks like your future fourth line, and they're all big, great size. So I have no problem with those three. They after Kapanen's probably the most ready forward. That'll probably be in Montreal this year, possibly depending on trades and who we have in the lineup. Um, but I think he's the only realistically, and Rohrer will join, Laval, but he needs experience. But I think Kapanen's the only one ready to move up. Heinemann's a Hab, no doubt. So we're not even putting him in that talk. So it's Kapanen who I think could crack the lineup if we're talking about cracking the lineup in the forward group. Defense, we're not even sure how that's going to pan out. But I do think it would be nice to have a veteran, but I don't want to block. If my U is ready, why block him? Right. So we got to watch, very careful in what we do there. So we know there's names. Let's go to who's in the draft list of that we should be looking. I'm going by Mackenzie's report because I tend to lean his way. Um, uh, Sam Constantino is usually my next choice in that, and I respect Craig Button. So those are tend to be where I lean with knowledge wise. But let's go with Mackenzie's list. And from that list, and I like what he mentioned in this, I really do. For Habs, let's say we do draft in the position we're in, um, or we trade those two drafts to move up. Well, I think, we're the top guy I would be looking at for Montreal. I think that fits the bill perfectly, and I've had my eye on him. Is McQueen. He's a centerman, 6'5.5", and I think that's the ideal player that we should be looking at. And I think he's actually mentioned at the combo that he would love to play for the Habs. So for me, I love this guy. His size and everything matches. He's got the skill level. I believe that McKenzie ranked him at ninth in that category. And for me, if I was Montreal, I'd be willing to make a move with the two draft picks to get up to him, to assure that you have him. That's just my analysis. I think personally, I'd be the happiest if we ended up with this guy. Now, we do know that there's the number two guy I'm going to mention, a Nesbitt. He's another centerman, 6'4.5". I think and we seem rumor land again here, and that's why I don't like rumor land, but seems like there's some respected reporters in Montreal stating that Nesbitt from Sportsnet, they're really promoting. They say that Nesbitt is one of the guys that Montreal really has their eyes on. And I don't mind that because he's 6'4.5". Centerman, again, we need that. So that's great for the future. Will these guys be ready to play immediately in the NHL? I doubt it. I doubt. I think bottom dollar, you're looking at a minimum 2 years to 3 years before they join your squad, but they'd be great for the future. Next, we on my list from Bob McKenzie's list, I kind of put them in my order. So that's 1, 2. Now at 3, I put um, Hensler, defenseman, 6'2" and 1/4 is what they got him in size. And I think we really got to be focused because I don't think Carrier and Matheson. See, and they don't have bad. Matheson doesn't have bad size. Carrier's small, so I can see he's great for the short term and season hockey. Playoff hockey, We seen what Washington did to him. They pretty much decimated him. That's why we got to get larger in the ass end. Nothing against, because he's a great. He would be in the future a great seventh in your lineup, seventh defenseman. I think he would be good for that because he's done us wonders. He settled down that defense core when he was brought in. I love that trade. But if you want to go deep into the playoffs, you need big horses back there. Sorry, and we're small back there. And so that's why I say even Matheson and Gooley are kind of at your borderline, but Gooley plays big. That's what makes him no problem. Matheson, I think, again, he's short term. I think you may have 2 years, and then you might want to move on with the younger because we have so much talent coming. There's no way you can tell me that you can keep Enstrom out of the lineup either. The way this guy's coming on, I think he might be. When we look at it, let's just say you got Hudson, and I'm already putting Gooley on the right side right now. So I'm looking at Hudson. Um, it will be probably like Enstrom, Jackeye. The right side in the future, I see Gooley, Mayu, and Reinbacker. Now that's also a possible change that you can always have Gooley on the left side as well. But to bring in a veteran, it's tricky. If they're gonna do that, fine, so be it, because they still got time that they're in the rebuild still. I'd say we really need to know, is Mayu ready? Because I honestly think Reinbacker at least needs to start playing in Laval this year to catch up. But we don't know. We've been hearing positive things. But one of those two could crack the lineup, and I don't want to block them. So we hear a lot of rumors. So anyway, this Hensler would be good for the future. You get a big boy. He's going to take him at least 3 years, in that approximation to develop in Montreal's system. Then we go. So that's my third player. Then that I wouldn't mind seeing Montreal look at. Then we go, and this is risky, but there's upsides because his size is great. We can just get him to use his body, it's sort of like Slav Lakovic. We've heard a lot about him. That name's come up a lot too. Left wing, 6'4", 1/4. That's a big boy up front, left winger. So it would be a good winger for sure, size wise. So that would fit the bill. Then we go to I almost missed this guy, but at fifth, and he was on a little bit small to kind of close to the same size. Sorry. So I got at fifth O'Brien. We've been hearing that name come up as well. Kind of fits the bill, but just just above the borderline in size, 6'1", but has a good write up at center. So that's my number 5 guy. And then we go to 6, which we're hearing a lot of talk on this guy too. And I might at Chicharison. Anyway, I'm butchering that name. He's a right winger. Or no, sorry, a defenseman, 6'1.5". So that's my sixth pick. That's kind of on your borderline too, kind of your ghoulie range. So that's someone that I would have at 6. Then at 7, and I got him down this low. I love the fact that this guy has the offensive potential. I just don't like his defensive game, but he would definitely add some scoring threat for your lineup, and that's right winger, as we all know, Carbonell. 6'1", again, just above average in height. So for me, that would be your 6th or your 7th player to go to on that list. Then you leave Bear in there, but he's such a high risk. I don't like the injury he has, and left winger, 6 foot. He's right at the borderline. Left winger. You could take a crack at that. Now that would be in my summation. When I look at Atchison and Carbonneau and Bear, those 3 for me, even maybe Hensler, those 4 players to me are, if you keep your 2 drafts as are. Although Hensler will probably go long before that, in my opinion. And you would have to make a trade of some sort to move up in the draft in order to get around O'Brien, because O'Brien's going to move as well. We know McQueen, Nesbitt, probably Hensler, and O'Brien. You're going to have to make a trade move to move up the list in order to get at him. Me, like I say, my front runners McQueen and then Nesbitt next, with O'Brien, with Hensler and O'Brien following. But I think, there's so many teams are now in the market ready to trade off their picks that it kind of, they're saying, the rumor is it's putting Montreal in a pickle, because now you got sort of challengers and makes it harder to make that deal. Well, I'd stick to my guns. I still think, the way Hughes has been working the phone lines, I think there's something that I expect 1 to 2 big trades on draft day for Montreal, because I don't even know. In my opinion, this is just me. I'd rather go after a second line center and trade off those 2 draft picks, period, or at least one for sure, and maybe you get the Sean Farrells, well, whether anybody wants them, the smaller guys, and you start using them as trade bait and moving them on. And the same thing, the sad story is, I don't know if we can hold on to Struble, because he's not consistent in the physicality, and his size is kind of and that's why I say we got to get bigger. So Struble, for me, that's the defenseman I add that has a positive side that could do an NHL team very well. He's a great player. It's just that we need bigger guys. So, you put the Farrells in like that. In my summation, we have to get a proven, no more refit projects like New Hook and Doc, because in my summation at this point, both of them are third line down. Uh, and I don't know how you're going to work that out. I honestly, as time goes, would move them off of them and move them on, because I'm 100% in agreement with Pierre McGuire, 100% in agreement with Craig Button. Montreal should have no more than two small guys on our team if we want success, and that's Lane Hudson. I mean, what more can you say? You got to keep that guy. He's beautiful. Cole Caulfield's been wonderful, and especially the way he's transformed so well with what Marty's done with him. So those two should be your only two. You're going to have Brendan Gallagher, but Gallagher plays big. But eventually, I think we've only got 2 years left on Gallagher and Anderson's contracts. So once that's up, I think, Galley may be at retirement point and just end his career at that point. So you'll have him on. There's no sense of replacing him with bringing in a small player. So if anything, we should be moving some guys out. And it's sad to say, sorry, New Hook, and he could be a third liner for sure. And Doc, but they just don't do it for me. We overpaid for these 2 guys. And Doc, it's a shame, because he had the potential until he had all these injuries. So for me, I say make that move. Now we've heard, of course, what all these other guys in different podcasts are going on, with Rumorland, and we hear the names Hag and Ramus Anderson now seems to be being the tires pumped up on. He's in Calgary, Hag's in Minnesota. I think Hag is more what we need. I'm not sold on Anderson. I'm sorry. There's too many. I don't think you make a trade just to make a trade. Um, I just find him a little bit soft. I find his defensive play is not quite all that. So I think there's a lot of errors in his game. I'm just not sold on us making a move for that. I would rather stay away from that and get somebody, like Haig or Dobson, that type of thing. That would be more if you're bringing in a vet. Although I don't know. Like I say, we got to look at, is Mayu, Reinbacher, one of them or both of them ready to make that move? You don't want to block them if they are. So we got to be careful. And I really don't want Mayu or Reinbacher on the trade market. Personally, I think they have the exact size and different styles and toughness from Mayu, and great defensive play from Reinbacher that we need for our future horses on the back end, because that's where we got to get big. So I really hope Montreal keeps them out of any trade plans and just starts unloading these small players. And there's plenty of small players that we have. That's where all of our, they say, yeah, we have a lot of depth. Yeah, but it's problem is we're small. They're all small guys that are in our farm system and downward. So we have to get bigger. So, like I said, that's where I see it. I just wanted to give you our outlook. We're pumped. We're excited. Again, I hear the rumors. I would rather Montreal stick to going after the second line center that is established in the NHL. I think we could. They're out there. It might be hard to do, but I think they're out there, and I think we have enough in with the drafts included to make a deal to get at somebody. Um, I know the excuse story is go with a top six with the winger approach. That's fine, and I have no problem with that because you're going to have to do one or the other. But I really think you're making excuses if you don't go for the second line center and you just go for the forward. Yes, the winger. That's fine. Yes, we're going to have to do it, but I think you're in a better position to do it now to get the center. And I know it might be hard, but you have more draft products in your stash right now with quite a few stacks of draft picks, and you have prospects that you can utilize. And we don't even know what our goaltending situation of the future is right now. It looks like um, Monty and Dobish. And I think that's fine to go forward with. I will not pump the tires as much as I like what I'm hearing about Fowler. I'm not saying he won't turn into what they're saying. I, but I heard this about Primo when Primo came. So I'm a little backed off. I want to see does it transition to the NHL. So in that summation, we don't even know where our future goaltending stands yet. So we got to be cautious when we start pumping tires. Like I said, um, we got the pleasant surprise of Lane Hudson, and we'll probably have a pleasant surprise with, Demidov. Well, it was more of a sure thing, but Lane Hudson's been a beautiful surprise. What he turned into and being able to take the beating in the NHL. For a little guy, he's just a freak of nature just because of his mental state. Strong and hard worker and loves the game. That's what you want. So we got to be careful. And I hope we stick to the game plan and get that second line center and not go to excuses and go with the winger instead, which we will have to do too at some point. But let's take our opportunity while we have two first round draft picks and a lot of depth in the prospects and get that second line center. It can be done. It might take some hard work. And I do say, yeah, stay the course if you're Gordon and Hughes. Don't just make a um, outrageous move because you feel you have to. And something that works just to get you in the playoff. You don't want that. You want something long term. Whatever you're going to make that trade for, it's got to be part of the future. That's part of our plan, to have a long run at Cups and give us the best chances. So with that, I say go Habs go. That's what we see here at Center Heist. We wanted to give you an inside track on that. Like I say, I'm routing, if we go into the draft after draft, the draft players. My leading runners are McQueen and Nesbitt. Those are my leaders. I don't mind O'Brien and Hensler. After that, I'm kind of whatever. And Bear is my last one, only, but I just don't like taking that risk with the serious injury he had. I'd rather stay away from it because there's just too many players in this list that we can go to, and that's just because I don't want to see that be an injury that comes back. So thank you for watching. Please hit the likes and subscribe. We will get back on the air as with the draft. We're all exciting. Let's hope the Habs do what's right. No more reclamation projects. Please hit the likes and subscribe. You've seen it here where the puck drops first at Center Heights Productions. Thank you. And go Habs go. Let's have a good draft. God bless.